I'd like to thanks to Mr. Saran, President of Greentech Foundation, given a chance and for sharing my paper on the material flow cost accounting. And also thanks to Mr. Dato Kanagarajaraman, the President of MOSPA, who encouraged me to present the paper, and to fellow working committee member for MOSPA, Mr. Prabha and Dato Kana, who are willing to join us today evening. So basically, there's a small introductions on MFCA. MFCA is one of the going to be element in ISO 14000. This will be under, we call as 14051, after life cycle analysis. It's a final draft in ISO document, and it's going to be declared by end of this year. It started in year 2000 under working group 8 TC207. I think those are involved in the environment on the EMS systems. They will well understand on this. And basically, these papers been presented in a few countries to get recognitions. And the leader of convoy of this paper is Japanese, who are leading the working group 8207 for achieving ISO 14000. Okay, my name is Devendran. So basically, I'm attached to Institute of Biological Science as a lecturer there and researcher full-time under University Malaya. It's one of the pioneer university in Malaysia. So this is my presentation outline. First, I'd like to start with some intro. Second, I will share about the objective of the research. And we go with some research questions, the concept of MFCA, literature review, methodologies, case study in Malaysia, findings and results, targeted points, and last I will close with some conclusions. Okay, the time to time the series of ISO versions was published in order to achieve and maintain the standard in the environmental management. We know as ISO 14000, we started, so many versions are being included, and last is what we're going to go through is material flow cost accounting. The standards are generally established to ensure the sustainable development, where they provide guidance and method for organization to act in order to achieve a better environment performance. The time has come to expand the environment management towards to micro level, where the greater consideration of the relationship between environment and economy should be considered. Those days, when we are talking about the environment, always people are talking about recycles, but the hidden cost in recycling is being hidden up. So MFCA will trace all the hidden costs in the waste management. The new standard called as a material flow cost accounting, which has been proposed, will focus more to micro level in line of supporting other standards. The research objective, we set for 3 targets on the research objective. First is to determine the process flow for the production of sulfuric acid and identify input and output wastage based on mass balance principle. Second is to trace and associate losses in the process of sulfuric acid using a material flow cost accounting approach. And third is to identify the source of unseen wastage according with the quantity center in the sulfuric acid production. The problem was been stated here is that most of the costs are usually is not traced systematically and attributed to responsible process and the product, but simply sum up in general overhead. The environmental protection projects aiming to prevent emissions and waste at the source by better utilizing raw material and auxiliary materials. Third is how the material cost accounting can be adopted by manufacturing industries as a tool for environmental management. The research questions is what is the contributing and implementing factors which are material flow cost accounting and in an acid manufacturing process. The second is how to trace and calculate unseen losses in an acid manufacturing process using a material flow cost accounting approach. And third one is that most of these costs are usually not traced in systematically and attributed to the responsible process and product, but simply will sum up in a general overheads. Now we have touched on on the scope of research. The scope of research precise towards data collections on material, system and energy costs by using existing material inventory systems at the case study, to monitor input material and movement of the material during the production of the sulfuric acid, identify the quantity center according to process flow. The fourth is to calculate material losses at the process level and track the losses during the process according to the quantity center, define the quantity of the auxiliary materials, and calculate the cost for disposal. So most of the people, when we are presenting this paper, sometimes they think what we are going to do the research on this. But this is something very new. This is something we are presented. It's first time in India we are presenting this paper. In overseas, like Japan, we have presented a few papers. In China, we have presented a few papers. And the first time we are presenting, they really don't understand what is the concept. So on this today's presentation, I will start with something very basics. Actually, we already finalized everything. It's already going to be final on the ISO 40000. So the concept of MFCA. So basically, I need to start with some concept. Okay, what is the concept of the MFCA? So when we see on the process level, all the process, if let's say we take one product, we have a process level. On this case, we put as an input 100 kg. So during the process 1, process 2, or process 3, until the last process, we have a output. But in this case, in MFCA, we call as a positive product. At the same time, we have some emissions. So in those days, the emission, we calculate as a scheduled waste or wastage. But in MFCA, we will calculate the losses according to the process level, and we call as a negative product. So based on the material balance principle, MFCA will trace all the input of the material. So basically this is a process concept. When we have during the process, every process we have some wastage. So this wastage we will calculate and convert back to the monetary value. So example what I given here is on the input. We have 100 kg of the input. The finished product will be 70 kg, and the emission sometimes we have 30 kilo. This is a concept only. So what is the benefit of MFCA? MFCA we have two type of benefit. One is on the internal benefit, where to increase the profit and to improve the productivity. The external benefit is to reducing to environment impact. All these will be contribute to sustainable development. So this is the creation where the MFCA was started. It was started in 1992 on the US, initiated the EMA project. In 1993, MITI is on the Minister of Economy and Trade of Japan, was initiated the EMA projects. On 2009, UN was started on the EMA Expert Working Group. This is the Working Group 8 under TC 207. On 2002, MITI was published EMA procedures on workbooks. On 2003, the German Federal Environmental Minister issued the Environmental Costing Management in Guidelines. It's under Prof. Clark. On 2004, MITI initiated a project for use of MFCA. And starting from 2005, IFCA issues the implementation guidelines document on the environmental management account. And 2007, MITI is Japan who are leading the MFCA project, published a guideline for MFCA. 2009, MITI published a MFCA best practice booklet. And 2011, the final draft of MFCA, or we call as 14051, was being published. So the first case study, I will touch on some literature review on the Nento Denko corporations, where you see the manufacturing of the adhesive tapes for the electronics. The environmental response cut industrial wastage costs, took up almost the same percentage as operating profit in the sales. Introducing MFCA in the production process, adhesive tape for the electronics with a negative products rate around 32%. That means the losses will be around 32%. Determine on the improvement plans and capital investment. The causes because due to coating process and the cutting process. The major cause for the losses will be subtitled to unevenness of the surface of adhesive tapes and substrated waste part tapes such as cutting margins. The countermeasures was done is to improve the cleaning method for substrates, adjusting the tape weight to the product specifications, introducing production equipment based on first and second factors, fundamental solutions. The cost involved is around 700 million yen. The second case study is the first, actually when it started MFCA, the Canon is the first company was signed the agreement with us to do the costing. So introduce MFCA into the lens processing process, realizing the breakthrough by the near shape technology. The causes the treatment for the slush, waste fluid generated from the lens grinding process took up 2/3 all the material losses. The countermeasurements was done is reducing the slush by near shape technology. And the effect, the way to introduce of the MFCA is to reduce the grinding quantity, reduce the slush treatment, processing man hours, energy consumptions, waste fluid treatment. The third case study is on the Tanabe. So it's started in the Onada plant, introduced in the pharmaceutical production process, realized the substantial reduction.